Star Trek has often been looked at for its effect on the large scale, for its influence on technology, its comments on important issues like civil rights or wars, and its influence on pop culture. But when I started this project, I wanted to look at its influence on the small scale, the personal scale. And so I asked this question: what is Star Trek's influence on the individual fan?
My name is Mackenzie, and I was born in Santa Rosa, California.
So, Star Trek is a pretty expansive universe. Do you have a specific series that's your favorite?
I think, to me, Voyager really encapsulated the exploration well. All the Star Trek series ultimately come down to exploration, but um, I don't know, that one just seemed to really resonate well with me.
With Voyager, there was actually an episode called Latent Image, which was about the Doctor who was a hologram. Like the whole series, he's becoming like a person, or more like a person, more like an individual. And in this episode, he essentially goes nuts because he saves one person but not the other in his medical room, and he can't for the life of him think of why he ran to one person, not the other.
Decision, Mr. Neelix. In general, I mean. I guess I weigh the alternatives and try to decide which is best. Which is best? How do you determine that? I never thought about it, really. Well, maybe you should. Think about it, I mean. I guess every situation is a little different. For me, it's rather simple. When I'm faced with a decision, my program calculates the variables, and I take action. For example, what could be simpler than a triage situation in sick bay? Two patients, for example, both injured. For example, both in imminent danger of dying. Calculate the variables. My program needs to ascertain which patient has the greater chance of survival. And that's the one I treat. Simple. But what if they have an equal chance of survival? What then? Flip a coin? Pick a card? Doctor, all right, I'm a hologram. I don't get injured. I don't feel pain. I don't die. Unlike some people I can tell you about. For example, two patients. Both injured. Both in imminent danger. Don't touch me. I'm a hologram. Photonic energy. Don't waste your time. Neelix to security. Send a team to the mess hall, please. The whole team, Mr. Neelix. Throwing a little party, are we? Why, I attended a party just recently. A birthday party for a very nice young woman. I made a decision there, too. Several of them, in fact. When I came through the door, do I turn right or do I turn left? As I recall, I decided on the latter. Then, what should I see before me but the hors d'oeuvre tray and another decision? Do I take a canapé or refuse? Oh, that's an easy one. I'm a hologram. I don't eat. Something's wrong with you. Don't you know it's rude to refer to somebody in the third person? You had a choice, Mr. Neelix. Should I do something rude or not do something rude? Doctor, we must return to sickbay. Why should I? What if I don't want to return to sickbay? What if I decide not to return to sickbay? No, I don't choose this. Leave me alone. Let me go. Why did she have to die? Why did I kill her? Why did I decide to kill her? Why? Somebody tell me why!
And it's all about how you handle that with a friend who is not dealing things correctly. They're not mentally sound. And I love the whole idea. Like, so the original solution was Janeway was like, I'll just delete that memory out of him, and it works for a while, but then he remembers it like throughout. Like, you can't hide that forever. And that episode I really like, where it's like how you help a friend that's struggling like that. That really influenced me a lot. That was absolutely what I needed a few years ago, and like I loved DS9, and DS9 might be my favorite. And there's also like a special thing about it. So I actually watched the last episode of DS9 on the last day of classes, possibly ever for me, because I don't think I'm going to go back to school because I graduated this year. And the last episode is called What You Leave Behind. And just there was something special about watching an episode about people moving on from their lives to something else, where I wasn't that like it just really hit me, and all those characters I loved. So I would say DS9 is probably my favorite, but I think out of all the Star Trek shows, most likely to have been made today, if they were to make any of those shows, because it was an overarching story. Because that's just how TV's done now. TV's not standalone stories anymore. It's like an overarching thing because everybody can follow it a lot easier now.
Yeah.
You know.
So do you think that Star Trek Deep Space Nine helped to shape that mold? Also,
I think it did. I think it was Deep Space Nine and probably a lot of other shows around that time period. It ended. It's interesting because it ended in '99, and that was like on the cusp of like where TV was starting to.
was there anything special that made it become that phenomenon? Is there?
Yes, I think a lot of it has to do with the time it came out. Um, like because this comes out in the '60s, and this was like a hopeful like, hey, the future's gonna be all right. And it always amazes me that this was a show that had a black female lead during civil rights, a Vietnamese actor during the Vietnam War, or not a Japanese actor during like an Asian actor during the Vietnam War, a Russian during the Cold War, and this was a show that showed like, hey, we're all going to get along in the future. I think that's what made it stay. And
What does Star Trek mean to you?
Oh, that is a good question. Well, especially these days, I think the biggest thing for me is that Star Trek represents hope, optimism. I don't want to go so far as to say utopia, because there's, even in Star Trek, there's a lot of tension and a lot of, a lot of things still left to learn about working with each other. But I think, given the climate that we're in, especially today, with so much contention and so much violence, so much just hatred toward each other, I think Star Trek to me represents the very best of what we can be. It represents what we should all be striving to be, I think. And this really, I'll say this anyway,
Yeah.
even though I struggle to say it, but it almost is like, Star Trek to me is almost like what like religion might be to somebody who's very religious and very, very much follows faith. That it's just something to guide you. It's just something to help you navigate tumultuous waters.
What does Star Trek mean to you?
Star Trek to me, this is going to sound like the nerdiest thing in the world, but what it really means to me, beyond the hope and the wonder and space exploration and that feeling, is it's one of those things that I always thought represented friendship really well. By the end of that show, they do not feel like just characters on a show. They feel like your friends. And they feel like people you've gotten to know because they got to know each other really well throughout that show. And it always represented to me like you can get along with anybody that you meet, and you can develop a really great friendship. Kind of showed me on screen like this is what a friendship is like. This is how you develop it with somebody and how you get to know somebody, and that it helped me.
So I guess along that lines is what is your history with Star Trek? How has it affected you through your life?
Yeah, that's a good question. back to what I said a minute ago about how it was so different from how I grew up, the environment that I lived in, on a regular basis. That I think it was a great escape for me. It was something that that I could turn to and immediately feel optimistic, even when I was young and didn't really even know it. I probably couldn't even say the word optimistic, but I knew how it made me feel. I knew that it made me feel happy, excited. It always made me intrigued. I think I was just always drawn to the idea of exploring things and learning things.
So Armin Shimmerman, who played the regular character of Quark on Deep Space Nine, once said, I think at a convention and probably quite a few times before that, that Star Trek is about hope. And I think you said the same thing earlier. So can you think of any examples in your life or the life of other Star Trek fans that you know where that statement is illustrated?
I can think of a few things. In my personal life, there have been a lot of times where, you might feel down about something or upset with something that you did or whatever, and I've turned to Star Trek several times in the past to not necessarily get away from it, but to figure out how to get better from it. But also, I think, and maybe you could argue that this is just because it's a community, but I like to think that it's because it's a Star Trek community. We had a member in our group who went through some really hard times, and really was facing a lot of very serious struggles. And I think we were able to step in a way that other people in their lives weren't. Not materially, but just to be there and to provide hope. And I think that was very important for that particular person at that point. And there's still a lot, I think, in their life that isn't right, but they are still here. They're still fighting. They're still trying to make things better for themselves. And I don't know if that would have happened were it not for that type of community that comes with Star Trek, that hopeful demeanor, that things will be better, that we can always be better. And there's a sense of hope with Star Trek that I haven't experienced with anything else before.
But yeah, I think Star Trek is always going to last, and I'm very grateful for watching it and what it's done, and to continue to watch it. It's always going to be in my mind and something I'm going to care about and I can go back to. And there aren't too many series I've watched that are like that. And that's special to me, and that's what Star Trek is. Yeah, it definitely has. It has spoken to me to get me thinking in a different way, to get me looking at things in a different way. It's definitely like it appealed to my mind and appealed to the things I care about.
What closing comments do you have?
I would just say that I think I wish, like I said, I wish more people would get into Star Trek. And not see it as something that's so nerdy or inaccessible because it's so technical at times.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, I really feel like that it's just a good thing. It's just something that can easily entertain you. It can make you happy. It can give you something that a lot of other franchises can't, and that is, again, that message of hope and that strong desire for curiosity, I think, and exploration. We've always had it as humans, whether it's exploring the new world or exploring the ocean or starting to explore space as we are. Star Trek really brings that out, that sense of exploration.